Don't you love when you come to a place just in time? That's what happened with us today. We pulled into Willcox and we wanted to come over to the historic railroad park in the historic downtown, and we made it just in time for one of the trains. Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be exploring this railroad park and finding some of the interesting little tidbits that they have in the historic downtown area that you might want to check out if you're ever coming this way. So buckle up, it's about to be fun. I'm proud to say I was the last of the silver screen cowboys. What an era in film history it was to be a part of two generations of kids growing up in America. I like to feel that I had a positive and moral influence on them. Rex Allen. Father from 1920 to 1999, Rex Allen is honored here in Willcox. Probably thinking, oh, you just said train and now we're talking about Rex Allen. Well, the two things that I found that are synonymous with Willcox today are Rex Allen and the trains. In fact, the trains created the industry that made this area poppin'. It was so busy here, it became the leading cattle production area as a result of the access to the trains. And there's a lot of interesting things that still go on here today, despite the fact that it's a pretty small town. It's got less than 5,000 people here, a few businesses, some interesting things, tons of cool art throughout the town, but then also some just like hometown, like feels, if it makes sense. But today we're going to be exploring all of this as we kind of branch out. And that's what makes places like this and things like this really cool. The full history of Rex Allen is depicted through this statue and also these plaques. He was born in 1920 to Horace and Fay Allen here in Willcox, and he was considered to be cross-eyed at birth. Now, as a young boy, he sang in the street and on the barber shop, and he honed his craft right here at the local dances and rodeos before he ended up excelling and getting asked to come not only to the glee clubs, but also the church choirs. He ended up leaving home determined to find his place in career, and he loved music so much that in 1945 he was a part of a radio program that went nationwide, and he was on the National Barn Dance. In 1946 he ended up marrying the love of his life and the mother of his children, and they ended up living their golden years, enjoying their lives together. Now, his recording career was launched with Mercury Records in 1946, and it ended up spanning 30 years. And his song that became his trademark was The Streets of Laredo, which sold over 3 million copies. After that, he went on from 1955 to 1956 to hit the small stage and the small screen, and he was a part of a television program and was on 39 episodes of that program. So it's just a neat little way to see this. Now, if you're interested in Rex Allen and you'd like to learn a little bit more, there is an entire museum right across the street. At that museum, you can hear music, you can see some of the productions that he was in, you can find out all of the history of the things that he did here in Willcox, and it's a really cool, smaller museum. And like I said, one of these days we'll go in there, but for now, let's see what else is at this little park. I'm finding that Riley and Tyson are down here, so let's go catch up with them and find out if they've seen anything cool. And has been doing his walkie walks, so he's found all sorts of smells. What did you find?
I found a sign.
A sign? This sign?
Yes.
Let's go look at that sign. It looks like it's next to the playground over here, and what looks to be a really interesting train-themed thing that I think even adults could go up on, because there's a big staircase, so maybe we do that in a minute. But here we learn about the Willcox Art and Heritage Trail, and this is where we get into the trains and how they made such an impact when it came to ranching in this area. It says here that beginning in 1880, Willcox became the first main distribution point for all the forts, mining camps, and ranches in the area, and it's because of this very train that we were just looking at. In fact, they would have huge freight wagons which would roll into town, and then they would be carrying all sorts of things, and then they would be able to ship out of this area. In fact, down there, I'm pretty sure is the original depot, and we're going to go down there in just a moment. But let's learn a little bit more first. It says that the passengers who would arrive on the trains would typically end up staying overnight here in the hotels, and then they would be able to move on from there. But a lot of times they would patronize the businesses along the way, and some of these patrons were really big names. In fact, if you've heard of Wyatt Earp and the Earp brothers, guess what? They were all up in here. Before we go into the Earps, hi Riley, are you and Tyson on a train? Tyson, what do you think about being on a train, buddy? This thing is pretty tall. As you can see, Riley is an average height person. So she's on it. Everybody can get on this. In fact, let's go get on this with Riley to see what it's about. Looks like it has some of the original actual pieces from the train, but then they've made it into this like fun experience so you can come up and enjoy yourself on a few stairs and get a really neat view of the historic downtown. This part's not so fun. So it's cold when we're here now, but if you're here during the warmer times, be careful.
Dorky dance on a train. Oh, sorry. And now I'm here. Hello.
Something that we've noticed is there's a few of these little trains, and these are kind of around this region. I'm not sure if they're all around town, but there's two of them that we've seen so far. One was done by the PTO, and then this one was designed by Myra Fountain. These are just really cute. They have artwork on them. It shows kind of like a little piece of the city, but they're located right next to another historic sign. The reason why you always read the signs is because look at this. The first Southern Pacific train arrived in Willcox in August of 1880, and it had General Orlando B. Willcox, which was the military commander for the territory. This is him right here. This is who Willcox is named after. I think this is just really, really neat. But also, they have a story as to why. The story goes on that the people wanted the train to stop in order to greet General, yelling, "Willcox, Willcox, Willcox." A reporter from the Tucson newspaper then reported that there was a new town named Willcox. Things around town are just really neat, so being able to see them is cool. Even though it's chilly today, I keep seeing signs. I'm very excited to find out what this one is. I always enjoy finding the history in these communities and sharing them with you guys. You should definitely try to make this a point to come out and see this one. This appears to be their Veterans Memorial, and they have not only the flags, but also a few different pieces here to commemorate those who have served in the armed forces. Starting off right here, Joe Robert Lawrence, Armando Ramirez, William C. Billy Dickerson, Frederick G. Buddy Lopez, Vincent B. Baker, Alva Ray Terrell. These are all the people who fought and died and did not return from the Vietnam War from this community. Another fascinating moment here, Boeing B-50A, or the 040. In the early hours of July 13th, 1950, a B-50 bomber on a nuclear training mission suffered a catastrophic propeller failure, and it crashed into the mountain range just northwest of the city of Willcox. It's on to tell us that 10 people were on that flight, and 6 of them were able to parachute to safety, but 4 of them were lost in the blaze when it crashed. And so this is why places like this are important. Not only do they give you context for the community and the people, but they also tell you about historic things that have happened in communities. And just by simply reading a sign, you can connect to that area as you visit it. But there's a lot more to this place, so I feel that we should have some more walking. And I found another train, another one. Here it is, and it's right next to the Liberty Bell visiting Willcox. In early dawn of November 16th, 1915, people from all over the area came here to see the actual Liberty Bell as it traveled on a special train across America. When it arrived, it only stayed for 5 minutes. They waited for hours. They had entertainment, patriotic music. The school had a band that was playing, and they all waited for this historic moment to see the Liberty Bell, the real life Liberty Bell. And in doing so, it was a big thing. This wasn't the only community who came out though. Along the route, communities across the country did this. And it was such a celebration of independence and history and everything culminating together. And so signs like this bring us back in and tell us a little bit more about that. But I think I lost Riley and Tyson, so let's go see what they're doing. They're at a dining car right now that looks like it's a train. Man, if we hadn't already eaten today, we could eat in a dining car. What? That is neat. They're open Monday through Thursday, 11 to 8, Friday and Saturday, 11 to 8, closed Sunday. So we are here on the correct day. But man, we already ate. Look at this though. Is this not the coolest? Riley, we're putting this in our list for next time.
Exactly. Ooh, look, there's a sign.
Ooh, good find, good find. Let's go find out about this train and this sign. So the nice thing about this is on the bottom, it shows you the train that we're looking at below us, this guy right here. And then also who designed it. But then you have the facts on the top, and this one is actually about the red dining car. It says that the red railroad dining car was advertised by the city of Phoenix, free to any town in Arizona that would just come and move it. And so Willcox citizens thought it would be a great addition because of their railroad history, and they came to pick up this car April 24th of 1986. Why was this a big deal and why didn't anybody else jump on this? Because it's expensive. Now picture this, you have a huge railroad car. These things are not light, they're not small, they're not easy, and they require a lot of forethought to move them. So altogether, to come down from Phoenix to Willcox, it cost $8,500 in 1986. So that was the moving cost for this guy so that they could have it here. And now it is a dining cart that you can actually eat in, which is so neat. I'm going to show you a little bit more of this from the outside. Of course, we're not eating, so we can't go in to do that. I don't want to bother them, but look at this. It's huge. They built an awning over it to protect it and to keep it nice and everything. But this is so neat. It's so different than any other place that we've been to. And to know this started out in Phoenix and was brought down here because of the railroad history, definitely neat. Potentially more impressive is this is a barbecue place and this is their smoker. It's attached. It's huge. Of course, this is just one of many restaurants in this area. It smells delightful as you're walking around and seeing different things. You just get like a, and then you're like, ooh. And then you look around and you're like, oh, there it is. Speaking of, there we go. There's another cool thing over here. This is a dog park, but it has another car over here. And this one is open, it looks like, on the end. So I'm gonna try to go up in there. Let's see if we can actually go in here. I'm not sure. Up some stairs. And ooh, yes, we can. Oh, wow. This is so neat. Now, as we walk around, there's a few things in here. Not a whole lot, but a few. But there's things like the safe, the doors that actually slide open. Of course, the ground is a little creaky and squeaky, but that's okay. Oh, neat. This was one of the mining safes. In fact, this is the mascot and Western passenger train, and it was going through the Dos Cabeza Mountains that are in the background, just outside of Willcox. Genuinely don't know what you're gonna find when you walk around a community, and that's why I always say, try to see what's available. Even if you come on a day when things are closed, make some mental notes so you can come back to them later. Or if you have the opportunity just passing through, even to just get gas, look around, see if there's a cool mural, see if there's a historic sign, read the sign. Then you'll know a little bit more about where you're from in that time moment. I don't know where you're gonna find history, and we just came up to where I thought was a dog park. It just happened to be open, and now we're getting to go through this passenger train, which, oh, so cool. I always say stop and check out all the little things that you can when you're in an area, because you never know what you could learn from them. Each of us come from different places, so we learn from the places that we go to something that we might not have had in our wheelhouse previous. And so coming to places like this, definitely worth it. Willcox is paying off big, guys. Big, in fact, that we have now found this room, which has all of these curtains and a stove back here that has another sign. It just says it's a vintage stove, but still really neat. Now, I don't know if I can open this door or not. It looks like it's kind of closed up. Let's see about this one. Oh, this one's openable. This is a bathroom. It looks like maybe, yeah, kind of maybe looks like a bathroom. Okay, very neat. All because we decided to take a risk and do something at a dog park. Nice thing is, there's so many little preserved details that are just in a state of rest, where they're not being really utilized, they're not being modified or changed. And you can see the old logo at the top as we move from one part of this car until the next. The wood here, you can see the grain and the texture of it. You can see the years of wear. And then of course the bright colors that they chose to kind of really set things apart in these. Not least, we have the original scales here from the train depot freight office. And the train depot was located directly across from where this is. So it's really neat to find this and be able to like see what they would have actually weighed things on at the real depot. So again, we just took a little side quest here and found all this. Okay, so now that we checked this out, Riley caught up with me. There's another train that came by. Trains are just coming through here all the time. So let's go and see if we can find anything else interesting. Across the way is the old depot. I'm wondering if there's a sign over there. We're gonna go find out. And then Riley said she found something in front of that dining car, so we'll check that out too. Oh, how fun. I found 2 more trains and a ginormous chess thing. There's no pieces, but there's definitely a place that you could do it. So let's find out a little bit more about these, and then I think we're gonna go across the street to see what that's about, because I did see there's a couple signs. First and foremost, this one talks about the mascot and Western Railroad. This is what we just learned about inside of the car with those photos. It says that they were built in 1915 to carry passengers and supplies the 16 miles to the mines, which were in the Dos Cabeza Mountains. That is interesting. It also says that this particular train car was one of the ones that they used. The railroad was later discontinued when the mines were closed in 1932. And even though it provided a living for a lot of different families in the area, it turned out to be a scam to sell stocks. Sounds familiar. Here we learn about the tent camps. The tent camps were set up in 1877 to provide lodging for the crew that was actually building the railroad. And so they would use Chinese workers to build the railroad. And these are some of the photos right here, along with the photos of what the tent camps would look like. Now, you can read a little bit more about this time in history, but they do have a little bit of context here. It does mention that most of the laborers that were laying the tracks were Chinese, and they were only paid $1 a day. $1. Be thinking, what happened to all of those workers after they were finished? Well, after they were finished, a lot of those people came into the community and started businesses of their own, from restaurants and laundries. Also, the only Chinese run store was located here in Willcox for all of Cochise County. It was the only one. So that's pretty interesting to see that people just kind of became one with the community that they were working in. So always cool facts, very interesting facts. Very happy that we have taken this little walking tour around. There's tons of things to do here, it looks like, from the signs when it comes to the history, and you just find them all over. So I found this, and it's right next to the location we were just at, and the art on it is so neat. It doesn't appear to be a place that we can actually go into, but it is super cool. I love this. This is neat looking. Did you notice there's a dinosaur?
Yes.
Do 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 do. Do your best T-Rex. Do your best T-Rex. 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 Ah. Okay, now we're going across to, I think, what is now a city building, but I'm not sure. There's a few signs, so we'll find out. There's a couple of signs. There's a couple of trains. Let's go check this out. Yes. This is neat that it's at the old depot, and there's actually some information about the depot. Look on at this train. It is attached to the depot and the drought. The depot was completed December 1880, and it was the last remaining redwood depot in the Southern Line. Sure enough, it is the city hall, and in 1997 it became that. They renovated it so that they could have the historic signs, but also so that they could actually use it as a city office. So that's pretty cool. We also learned through the other sign, it's a little bit windy to go over there, but Susan B. Anthony actually came through here on one of her crusades for women's rights. I think that that is so epic. There's a huge history of the women's suffrage movement here in Arizona, and I've tracked it through places like Bisbee and Prescott before, and it's really neat to see that it also has a little bit of an impact here. This is neat. This is the Palace Saloon and Pool Hall from 1905. And this is the earliest panel brick style that was used in Willcox. It was also later a meat market during the Prohibition time, and it's listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. And you can see here, they have a little historic site sign because they have another historic tour that you can do. So many neat layers here. We're visiting, they're doing some expansion here, and so we can't get into this area. However, we can kind of look through and see there's another train back there, and also a timeline of the history and heritage of this area. So if you're here, see if this is available, definitely check it out. And then also see if you can get to that back section back there, because that looks really cool. Made friends with this nice little window kitty. Hi, yeah, sweet. Oh, I can't pet you through the window. I'm so sorry. Hi, friend. Riley found that this is Cinema. There it is. She's a security kitty. That's so cute. Interestingly enough, Cinema is part of the studio, and this is the Willcox Historic Theater. They actually still have movies that play here. So The Complete Unknown, that is the Bob Dylan story. Over here they have Homestead, they have different showtimes, and it has a real box office, which is so neat. I love finding these older theaters because you get to see like a little piece of the communities from the past. They also have some interesting things like open caption nights, which I think is really good because it's super inclusive. So really neat. I did hear Riley say, "Oh, cool," and then walk away while I was filming the cinema. So she found something and it's right around this corner. Let's go check it out. Oh, cool. I see what she's talking about now. That is neat, but also this entire like courtyard area, there's another train, which means there's another sign. And then look at this. What? Every turn that we've gone down has had something really unique. This one right here is an art piece that is a representation of the natural setting and the Dos Cabezas area, which is what we just learned about in the other location. Accompanied by this one, which represents a doorway into part of the rich history of Cochise County. This is a wonderful way to see a town. And unlike some places where the murals are painted directly onto the wall, this one is actually a piece that's been put here so that they can change it out and make sure it stays beautiful year round. Riley found all of this. This is like the postcard for Willcox. You can come and take your pictures here. This is so neat. Again, the cattle capital of the world right here in Willcox, thanks to that train and all of the farmers and ranchers in this area. So neat. We're gonna have like a little dorky dance moment on Riley's channel probably in front of this, so go check it out, and then I'll show you a little bit more of this. Now below us we have all of these etched pieces of concrete, and they have all of the different names. I came back to the train to find out a little bit more about this one, and I really enjoy the scene on this one. The shadow scene is really neat. It's very different than some of the other ones that we've been seeing, but also this one features wine country on the top. So each one, again, very unique. This one has a sign that says the cattle capital of the nation. It goes into a little bit more detail about the cattle industry here. And it says that it was surrounded by huge cattle ranches here in Willcox in 1872. And after 1880, twice a year, thousands of head would move through this area. They would be driven to Willcox and then shipped off by the trains. So see, full circle. It all comes together through the signs. It does look like if we go a little bit past this, that we get to an interesting section where they have live music. So we're gonna check that out too. Here, the Rex Allen Stage Live. They perform live music a few times a year, special events, I'm sure. Really nice way for you to get out and enjoy yourself. Now, when they're not using it, it is all locked up, so you can't go play over there. But this is really neat, and this is located right next to the Rex Allen Museum. One thing you'll notice whenever you're in the train town is there's tons and tons of trains going through here. So yeah, if you want to see a historic train town with a train that actually still functions, come through here. Hey guys, that's going to do it for us here in Willcox. I had a blast going around, and now that we know there's 2 different historic things that you can do here, we saw at least 5 or 6 places that you could have wine tastings. There's so much train history here. I am loving it. And one of our other places that we're going to be going to will relate back to Willcox a little bit down the line. But for now, remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. Take the stop. If you see a little park, you never know. It could just be a little park where you can take a walk, but it might be filled with history. Till next time. Bye.